Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our March edition of our ILCA 5-day challenge. My name is your Queen Connectress, Miss Marnita Casa, and I will be your humble hostess for this evening. Now, there is something that I always like to say, and that is we totally understand there are so many different things that you can be doing with your time, and that the nighttime is the right time for family and for preparation of the next day. So the fact that you guys decided to come on out and hear what we have to say, of course, that makes us so very happy. So again, thank each and every one of you for being here. And I'm looking to see if I see my folks on YouTube as well. Now, when I say thank you guys so very much for being here, oh my goodness, don't I mean it? This past month within our community, we have done so many things. We have, let's say, accomplished so many goals. We were able to put out, if I'm not mistaken, 2 new products. We had our Security 3 series bundle that came out. We also had 4 new bundle packages added to our website. We just started our partnership program. We signed up, got her ready, got her going, our first partner, Miss Carla Rigo, and we're just getting started, you guys. So this has been such a phenomenal month for ILCA and our community. And it feels so good to be back here with you guys. We are learning together. We are growing together. And now we're finally able to meet together. Now, you guys will know that this is sometimes a bittersweet occasion because we only get 5 days for us to be able to learn together. But if you are interested in spending each and every day with us in the ILCA community, we will be putting a link for you to join one of our wonderful memberships, whether you want to be a gold member, a diamond member, or the one that has the best value, our platinum membership. I will go ahead and put that link for you guys on YouTube and for everyone here in our VIP room. And speaking of our VIPs, hello, babies. How are you? It is always good to get together with you guys. Thank you so very much for your energy and your time. Now, you all should know the routine by now. As you come on in, type your name and where you are from in that chat box. That way I get a chance to tell everybody who is a VIP with us on this call. And if you have the opportunity, like my good friend, Mr. Fetty Sherman, please go ahead and turn on those cameras. That way we get a chance to see all your wonderful faces and see some of those beautiful smiles. So I'm just going to go ahead and start saying hello to everyone because I see you guys coming on in. First up, of course, like I said, is my friend, Mr. Fetty Sherman. Hi, Fetty. How are you, sir? Thank you so much for being here. It is always good to see you. I see, there you go. I see we also have Mr. Jamal Najib from Pasadena in the house. Hello, sir. How are you? I see you are styling and profiling tonight. It is good to see you. I see we have the queen herself coming on in from Chicago. Her name is Miss Melanie Davis. Hello, queen. How are you? Thank you so very much for being here. It is always good to see you. I see we have Mr. Popper Leonard is representing tonight. Hello. Yes, he does. Hello, Leonard. How are you? Thank you so very much for being here with us. It is always good to see you. He is representing La Quinta, California. There is my good friend. I said his name is Mr. CJ Jackson. He's always representing Arizona. Booyah. Yes, sir. It's always good to see you, CJ. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, the beautiful Miss Chris Delgado is here. Hi, Chris. How are you, sweetheart? Thank you so very much for being here with us this evening. Of course, my good friend, the beautiful Miss Carla Arrigo. Mwah! Hi, Carla. Thank you so much for being here with us. She is coming on in from St. Louis, Missouri. It is always good to see you. Now, I see Miss Janelle Appling is here with us this evening. What a beautiful picture. I love it. Thank you so very much for being here with us, Miss Janelle. She is coming on in and representing Colorado. There is the beautiful Miss Yvetta Peralt. Hi, Yvetta. How are you, my sweetheart? Thank you so very much for being here with us this evening. Of course, the beautiful Miss Judy Emdem is coming on in from Toronto, Canada. And there is Miss Rita B. Hi, sweetheart. I didn't forget you. She is coming on in from San Diego and she is representing this evening. Thank you so much for being here with us. I see you, Miss Patty. Guys, hi, baby. How are you? Thank you so very much for being here. It is always good to see you. And I see Mr. Nathan Hansberger is here with us and he is representing Las Vegas. It would be really nice to see you, my friend, since we will be traveling soon. I'm just going to throw that out there. Thank you so very much for being here. Hi, Maggie. I see you. Okay, everyone, we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get this party started. Again, thank each and every one of you for being here with us this evening for our March edition of the ILCA 5-Day Challenge. Again, my name is Miss Marnita Casa, and I like to call myself your Queen Connectress. Now, it is my honor to introduce you all to a man that for over 25 years dominated the direct sales industry. His cryptocurrency education is being used by companies and universities worldwide. For over 8 years, he dedicated his life to learning about blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, but he didn't just stop there. He decided to go out and share his information with the masses, and this was done by putting on fun and exciting Bitcoin boot camps nationwide at no cost. He has built thriving communities and wonderful platforms like you see before you now. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce you all to Mr. Brandon Ivey.
All right, all right. Thank you, Ms. Casa, for that introduction and welcome everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule tonight. I love when we do these. This 5-day challenge kind of snuck up on me. This month has gone by very fast. It just seems like yesterday we just finished last month's 5-day challenge, but we're about to do it again this week. As Ms. Casa said, I'm the founder and CEO of Ivy League Crypto Academy. I teach crypto education for a living. As she said, I've been in this space now since 2016. Well, 2016 when I bought Bitcoin for the very first time. And I bought 3 Bitcoin for $640 in October of 2016. And I sold those 3 Bitcoin in December 2016 at $870 for Christmas presents. And I made a profit, right? From 640 to 870. Only problem was 1 year later, Bitcoin got all the way to $20,000 a coin. And so we talk about learning a lesson. I didn't know anything about the blockchain and crypto space. And at that time, there was no real place to go to get crypto educated. Even today, I'm shocked by how many people out there still have no real idea on where to go to get crypto educated. I had a chat with a nice young woman out of Texas earlier today about that, and the feeling that most people don't have time to go back to school, don't have the money to go back to school, don't have the desire to go back to school to learn about blockchain technology. And that's what led us to creating ILCA. And this is an academy where you can take advantage of on your own time, from the comfort of your own home, at your own pace, and be involved in a community of like-minded people that's going on this journey with you. We also like to say, earn while you learn. So back in 2017, when I made the decision that I need to learn about this space, there was only a few options I had, really 2, YouTube and Google. And even in 2017, if you Googled or put in YouTube, what is the blockchain? Oh, thousands of different things is going to pop up. And at that time, not all of them were saying the same thing. In fact, after 6 months of me doing my due diligence and research, I believe if I'm going to do something, I need to understand it. I don't just want to throw money at something and hope for the best. I need to understand what's going on. So it took me 6 months before I was comfortable. And in those 6 months, at the end, I realized that 50% of the information that I was receiving was wrong. The other 50% was outdated because this industry is constantly growing, constantly changing, constantly adapting, and it still is to this day. But 2 things that I also learned in May of 2017 that changed the course of my career is 1, blockchain technology is going to disrupt every single industry on the planet today. Whether we like it or not, believe it or not, trust it or not, Your opinion of this is irrelevant. You fast forward to today, and what did we just find on Crypto Talk this morning? An article popped up that said that Trump officials are looking to add blockchain technology to USAID. The whole goal for them is they want to prevent corruption and fraud and to look for wasteful spending. If you have it on the blockchain, there can be no manipulation. Every single dollar that is being used will be tracked and accounted for. There can be no funny business without everybody seeing it. And so when I say blockchain technology is going to disrupt every industry, I literally mean that. Whatever business you're doing right now, whatever your profession is, it is a 100% guarantee that it will be connected one way or another to blockchain. You're not going to hear it that way. You're going to hear something called Web3. And I have a whole lesson on Web3, but Web3 is blockchain technology. That's the future of the internet. In fact, blockchain technology is bigger than the internet. And I think we all can agree that the internet revolutionized the world. I mean, can the world spin without the internet today? Can your household operate without 5 minutes of Wi-Fi? You turn that off in my house, and I know, and I've done this experiment just to see what will happen. Shut it off, and everybody coming out their rooms. Something wrong with the internet? What's going on? I can't connect. But that is our reality, our new reality. And blockchain is just going to be taking that to the next level. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Now, where did the 5-day challenge come from and start? Well, in 2018, I was invited to come to Chicago. And you know who was in that room that day? I see her. Melanie Davis was there that day. Jacqueline Briggs, I think, was there on that first one. Gina came a little later if Gina Mohammed is on. But I know those two were in the room at the very first Bitcoin blockchain Saturday Bitcoin Expo we did. And we had just one Saturday where everybody can come out. We didn't charge anybody to be there. And for a couple of hours, we taught the basics of what blockchain and Bitcoin is. See, you can't take advantage of one of the greatest economic shifts in wealth in the history of mankind if you don't even know what's going on, if you don't even know it exists. So that's what it was doing. And I went from city to city doing blockchain boot camps, Bitcoin boot camps until COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I had to stop because we weren't allowed to travel or do anything for a couple of years. So that's when we moved to when we started ILCA of doing it the 5-day challenge. So now once a month, everybody can get, actually, you're getting more than you would on a Saturday afternoon because we're doing this for 5 days for 1 hour, at least 1 hour. And it's going to be a specific topic. So who is this for? Well, the great thing about this is that we're not charging anybody to get this information. As everybody that's on YouTube right now, we welcome you guys on YouTube. Those of you, you see people that's on Zoom with us, this is our internal community, our VIPs, our inner circle. But you can watch on our YouTube and get this information at no cost, period. Also, if you've registered, you also can get my free ebook that you can download at no cost as well. It's Bitcoin for Beginners that you're able to get your hands on. So what we're going to be doing each night is we're going to cover the basics of Bitcoin. For example, tonight, what is the blockchain? Tomorrow, what is cryptocurrency? You'd be surprised that people, they hear about Bitcoin, but they don't know what it is. There's a difference between cryptocurrency and digital currency. How does it work? Why is it here? We're going to cover that. We're also going to talk about wallets and security. I'm going to be very, very big on security this week again. In fact, I'm probably going to do multiple days of different security lessons. We're also going to talk about how do you make money with Bitcoin as well. Now that you've heard about this and you got the basics, what do I do with this information? How do I take action? And how can you be invited and join our community? So if you've never seen this before and you're a beginner, this is for you. But what if you say, Brandon, I've been in crypto for like longer than you? And there are people out there that shocks me. They've been involved in crypto much longer than me and still know absolutely nothing. But if you think you do, and you think you're an expert and you've made millions of dollars in this space, this is still for you as well. Because when I do these lessons live, even though it may be the same topic, I never do it the same way exactly twice. You can go back over the last 3 years, and we do this once a month. I have never done it exactly the same way because we live in a different era today. There's different things happening in the world that applies. And now blockchain is being kind of force fed on everybody because we have a new president who wants the United States to be the crypto capital of the world and wants to create digital currency reserve. And you've got to know what that is and what that means. So this is to the point now where it's almost unavoidable. So let's begin and let's talk about what is the blockchain. I love these lessons, these beginning lessons. It's also a refresher for me as well. I get reminded on some things. All right, now I can see you guys there. What is the blockchain? Well, what is a blockchain? A blockchain is a tamper-proof encrypted database secured by cryptography, which is the study of encryption. That part is important, especially you're going to hear a lot about stable coins this year, or CBDC, but mostly stable coins and digital tokens. That's something different than crypto. So that this acts as an accounting ledger, keeping track of digital assets. Instead of being maintained by a single server like traditional databases, blockchains are decentralized. That is a new concept. The internet, centralized. Your bank, centralized. Our financial system, centralized. We're talking about decentralized and maintained not by a company, but by a distributed network of computers around the world. This database tracks every Bitcoin in the network and each transaction since the very first Bitcoin. You could think of Bitcoin as an accounting system. Through the blockchain, it is a way of recording transactions and value digitally in an open and distributed self-clearing ledger. So just this one slide here, there's a lot of words that you may not have been familiar with for the first time. Words like blockchain, cryptography, decentralized, distributed, or ledger, self-clearing ledger. We are all involved in ledgers. Every time you go and you buy something, that receipt you get in your hand is a ledger. You go to your bank, mobile banking, and you look at your statement, that's a ledger. You get a credit card bill in the mail or a statement, that's a ledger. It's a record of every transaction that you did. The blockchain is just on steroids doing this. Beginners to cryptocurrency sometimes hear the word blockchain and think that the term blockchain is synonymous with Bitcoin. However, this would be like saying that smartphone technology and Apple have the same meaning. And we talked about that in Inner Circle Crypto Talk this morning. That one article was interchanging blockchain and Bitcoin like it was the same thing. And it's not. The relationship between Bitcoin and blockchain is like the relationship between Facebook and the internet. Bitcoin is based on blockchain technology and could exist without blockchain, could not exist without blockchain technology. Blockchain technology preceded Bitcoin, and blockchain technology could exist without Bitcoin. Just like Facebook is on the internet, Bitcoin is on the blockchain. Facebook cannot work without the internet. Bitcoin couldn't work without its blockchain. So if your internet went down and you turn on your computer, could you go to facebook.com? Could you go to your TikTok? Well, mobile, if you have mobile. Could you go to your Instagrams and Twitters if there's no internet access? No. So I put it this way. This is the way I explained it to my dad. My dad grew up where my grandfather used to make, they were poor. So my grandpa would make toys for Christmas. He built my father's first train set and race car set, and he was good with computers and building his own video game system with parts. And it's that tradition has maintained all the way to today. We always have a big train track around the Christmas tree. And so I told my dad, I said, Dad, look at it like this. Blockchain is the tracks. Bitcoin is the train that runs on the tracks. And when I said it to him that way, he was like, oh, okay, I get it. I remember even the early days of the internet, I had a hard time wrapping my head around what a URL is or what World Wide Web meant. I didn't fully understand that. I just remember saying if you wanted to go to a website, you needed to know the web address and then go to AOL dial-up. And those are the old days. So let's get a visual image in our minds. So picture this. There is a digital block that's created on the internet. Inside that block is data. For cryptocurrencies, text data of a list of transactions is inside of each block. For NFTs, text data detailing ownership of digital assets is inside of each block. Every time a new block is created, it is linked or chained back to the previous block. So you have a series of blocks full of data, all chained together to each other. Another way to visualize it is this. Picture each block as a page in a book. The data inside each block are the words on the page, and the chain is the book's spine that holds all the pages together. You guys have a good visual of that? There are various different cryptocurrencies, each with its own blockchain. So there is not, I think people always got this confused too. They think there's just one blockchain and all the crypto tokens is running on one blockchain. No, think of it like freeways. If you're in LA and you want to go to Vegas and you're driving, well, you would take the 10 east to the 15 north and you just ride that all the way up to Vegas. But you have to switch freeways, go off the on-ramp. Every token or coin has its own blockchain that's separate from each other, that does its own job. But each block is one page in a digital ledger. So how are new blocks added to the chain? In order to add a new block to a chain, a complex math equation must be solved. For Bitcoin's blockchain, basically someone needs to guess a number between 1 and 4 billion in order to add a block to the blockchain. This requires a vast amount of computing power, as well as some time, roughly 10 minutes per block on Bitcoin's blockchain. The individual or group who guesses the correct number creates the new block and is awarded 6.2. Oh, why I keep forgetting to upgrade this page. It's actually now, after the Bitcoin halving, 3.125 Bitcoin for every block. This process is called mining, but really it should be called something like creating a new block by guessing the correct number. The fact that it is so difficult to add a new block makes it so that no one organization can ever add too many blocks in a row. It would be like the same person winning the lottery over and over again. The fact that blocks are so difficult to create is also the reason why they are so tamper-proof and immutable. So now we know what a blockchain is, how blocks are created, and what each block is filled with, a digital ledger of transactions. To understand the significance of blockchain technology, we must go back in time and look at ledgers and their function. Now, I want to sidebar for a second because the first time I ever heard of Bitcoin, it was 2010. During that time, I was an avid gamer. I love games, especially online, massive multiplayer online role-playing games. And it was late at night and I was watching E3 TV. It was just a TV show just for gamers. And there were online tournaments that was going on at the time. And they were interviewing this one powerful gamer guy that everybody in the world knew. And they were in his home and he was showing off his new computer rig. He had built his own computer and it was like top-notch, state-of-the-art. And they were talking about it and how fast it moves and the processing speed and all the nerd stuff. But off to the corner were about 4 towers lined up and they were up and running. And the interviewer said, "Hey, what do you got going over there with those rigs?" He said, "Oh, those are my old rigs." He says, "Yeah, what, are you still using them?" He says, "No, they're mining Bitcoin." And the interview said, "Bitcoin? I think I heard of that. What do you mean mining?" It says, "Yeah, I'm mining Bitcoin with my old rigs." Now, can you imagine how much Bitcoin he was probably mining back then in 2010? And that's the first time I ever heard of the term mining, mining before. I didn't fully understand what that meant, but he was actually building the blockchain. So every 10 minutes, when that block fills up with information, which is every Bitcoin transaction, it is closed and a new block opens. So Bitcoin, where you want to know where Bitcoin comes from, and when you hear critics say that Bitcoin is a scam, Bitcoin isn't real, it's not backed by anything, it's made up out of thin air, they're actually describing the US dollar. Since 1971, the US dollar has not been backed by anything except the federal government's word and trust. And they can print more of it whenever they want to, and they do. Bitcoin, on the other hand, cannot just be printed up. There is a activity that needs to happen. Somebody needs to either first take their time, they need to purchase equipment, they need to program that equipment, that software, they need to plug it into an electricity grid, pay for the electricity, and then compete with a million other miners out there in mining power so that they can get pieces of those Bitcoin. 3.125 Bitcoin released every 10 minutes. That is what mining means. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow when we talk about what is cryptocurrency. But let's talk about ledgers. Ledgers and their function. A ledger is simply a documented record of transactions. A blockchain is a ledger. Therefore, a blockchain is a documented record of transactions. So if Doge initiates their own version of a blockchain on the US government, then every single transaction, for example, that USAID does, goes onto that blockchain. Now, more advanced, you'll understand. I don't cover it tonight, but there's a difference between, or there will be difference between a decentralized blockchain and a centralized blockchain. Anything coming out from the government, it will be a centralized blockchain. So just keep that in mind. So since the dawn of civilization, people have been trading things with one another. Humanity wouldn't exist if it weren't for the fact that humans trade with one another. Even before the invention of currency, tribes and early civilizations often keep a record of who traded what with who, dating as far back as 5000 BC in Mesopotamia. People use clay tablets as primitive ledgers to record transactions of crops and animals. Anybody been paying attention to the news? Have you heard the latest findings to come out of Egypt over the last few days? Anybody paid attention to that? I'll tell you, because I love that archaeological type of stuff. They found that underneath the pyramids, that there are huge pillars, an entire complex, 2,000 feet deep under the bedrock. And they found other artifacts written in stone where they're able to see that who you might thought was slaves building the pyramids, that they actually had workers, and they had recorded how much they were getting paid. It was recording transactions. Now, what's interesting, the blockchain is taking us back to the old, because when you put something on clay, on cement, it's there forever. You can't erase it. You can't manipulate it. You can't change it up. And it lasts thousands of years. When something hits the blockchain, it can't be changed. It can't be opened up. It can't be manipulated or erased. But I want you to think of this. Imagine in the olden days too, like medieval times, and you wanted to go to a sail to another city to sell your goods and services and crops and vegetables and fruit. And you would meet the dock master or harbor master, and you would declare, here's what I'm bringing in to trade, and they would make a list of everything and how much. And then once you've done all your trading and you're ready to leave, you visit that same harbor master and you declare what you actually sold because you got to pay the tax. And only one person is keeping a record of that. It's not you, it's the harbor master. But what if the harbor master doesn't like you? What if you went partying last night, you messed with his wife or his daughter? This is where the whole bribery came into play. And bribery was standard business. It wasn't illegal, it was the cost of doing business. The wealthiest people in the old days were those merchants and tax people, tax collectors. To think about that, because they're the only ones who had it, and most people didn't even know how to read or write anyway. So only a few had access to that. Ledgers such as these would be used to keep track of debts owed, so it was important that they were kept in a safe place to avoid tampering or damage. Ledgers were kept safe inside of guarded temples and palaces, the seeds of the first banks. So what would happen if you felt you were being treated unfairly by the dock master? Could you do anything about it back then? No, you didn't really have any recourse. Later, though, banks took over the role of calculating and maintaining ledgers. They kept track of transactions as well as debts owed and kept these records or ledgers safe, except at this point, people were using currency and no longer bartering with crops, animals, and other goods. Enter the modern banking, which is what we're actually using now. Now, that is very interesting, Janelle. I can't wait to learn more about that, that they found language that is not Egyptian because there was an ancient civilization older than the Egyptians, the land of Kemet. For centuries, people have trusted banks to keep and maintain ledgers or records. People agree with the information in a bank's ledgers and trust that that information is safe from tampering or damage. So when you have automatic banking where when you're on your job and you have direct bank account where when you get paid and you just go to your mobile bank and you can see the money that's there, you're trusting that the bank has your money and that it's secure. Because everyone agrees with the information in a bank's records, banks are often used as an intermediary for transactions between two parties. When you swipe your debit card at the grocery store, and the POS terminal states that the transaction has gone through, the grocery store trusts that you've paid. The grocery store trusts your bank's records. Both parties involved in the transaction trust that the records of the bank are accurate. If the bank says the transfer has successfully been completed, then the buyer and the seller can both trust and agree that the money has in fact gone through. Now, that means that there is an entire industry of the third party that is making a lot of money off of this current system. Because that point of sale system, who's paying to have access to it? Not only us as the consumer, but the merchant account is using it as well. The merchant account is paying for it so that their customers can have convenience, and the customers is paying the tax on it for the same thing, for convenience. So it's like the banks is double charging for the same transaction. What's the pros and cons of using banks in their ledgers? Banks add a level of trust and security to transactions. This is why banks have been around from hundreds of years. The downside to this is that banks and their governments have the power to monitor and control people's money. That is why Donald Trump wrote into executive order, signed it, stating no CBDC, because that same question is coming up. The power to monitor and control people's money, as well as put their hands in people's pockets with fees. I remember the first time I got my Bank of America account when I had my first job, and my overdraft fee or overdraft had for a couple of dollars on several transactions, and I was getting charged $35 overdraft fee on every transaction. That blew me away. Even though, and this is what really got me, One time I was only $2 over, yet I had four overdraft transaction fees. And I was like, how's that possible? Well, it's because what the bank does, they take the largest transaction and credit that first. So all the smaller little transactions that I did, overdraft, 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 overdraft. So I got four overdraft charges instead of just one. And that's when I kind of really figured out, oh, the banking system is just another legalized scam ring to get all our money. Figured it out. I learned the hard way there, or I learned a good lesson then. So the issue is for centuries, we have been trusting banks to keep records or ledgers of who owns and owes what. But at the same time, we've been sacrificing some of our privacy, independence, and a percentage of our wealth in fees. But what if there was a better way? What if there was some form of modern technology that could help us get the best of both worlds? What if we could have security and trust while at the same time also have a financial privacy and autonomy? What if? We would need a secure ledger that everyone could trust and agree on, and that wasn't able to be controlled, interfered with, or manipulated by any person or institution. So I'll ask you guys a question. Does the world and Americans trust the US dollar? Yes. Why? Because you think it's backed by the government. But what happened in 2008? Remember what happened then? The greatest recession since the Great Depression. And it was caused by the same businesses that the government said were too big to fail. And George Bush did a famous speech when all was about to collapse. And he was able to calm the waters. And he stated, he said, look, we all must come together. We're going to get through this. You have to trust the government, and we'll make this happen. Trust the government. Really. Do you know the dollar in your hand right now has already lost more than 90% of its value? It's a slow bleed that takes over decades. Go to the grocery store today. How much would $20 get you? I don't know, a dozen and a half eggs? That's it? Maybe 2 dozen? What did $20 get you in the 90s at the same grocery store? Hmm. Something called inflation. We'll be talking more about that tomorrow on what are cryptocurrencies and why. But let's get back to the ledger. But if we trust the government still has the ability to manipulate and interfere with the financial system. On March 18th, everybody was sitting back to see what the Federal Reserve was going to do. Raise interest rates? The Fed did nothing at that point. Print more money? What happens if you print more money? Well, the value of the money that's already in circulation starts to go down in value. Supply and demand. There's too much supply out there. So we enter blockchain technology. Blockchains are distributed and publicly accessible. So if you want to know, how are blockchains different from the banks? They're distributed and publicly accessible. A bank's ledgers, can anybody see what's going on with the bank's transactions? No. A year and a half ago, remember when the banks, early last year, the banks were, smaller banks were folding, and they were trying to blame it on crypto. And one bank got in real trouble because they all of a sudden started sending refund money to people's accounts with no explanation as to why. And so when someone said, why are you sending me money? And all the bank said was, yeah, we found an error an accounting error, and we're just making the difference. But then when they said, really? So how do we trust that you are actually sending us the right amount? Can we see the data on what the error was and how it happened? And the bank said, no, that's not necessary. And to this day, the bank has refused to show what exactly happened that they messed up on, that they're sending people all this money, because they don't have to. Their ledger is private. But when it comes to the blockchain, everything is out in the open. The only thing is you don't know who. See, all you see is wallet addresses, but you don't see any names on them, who it belongs to. So a blockchain is a digital ledger, but it is a ledger that everybody has access to, yet nobody can control and tamper with. That is ultimate freedom, where you don't have to trust a government, a business, a bank, a cult of personality, a governor. You don't have to trust anybody because it's based on math. 2 plus 2 will always be 4. Historically, ledgers and records have been centralized, locked up, and stored by one institution that has access and control. Now, think of those of you who love Game of Thrones. And there's a famous scene where Cersei Lannister, I remember that's her name, was talking to her daddy, Tywin Lannister. And he was explaining to her that they don't have as much money as she thought they did. Like, oh, well, we sit on I forgot the name of the gold hill that they have. He was like, we ran out of gold 2 decades ago. And then she said, but we're the crown. And he says, no, we need the Iron Bank. And she was like, well, just tell the Iron Bank what to do. And he was like, no, dear, the Iron Bank tells us what to do. Whoever holds the money has the power. Just like, remember this word here. Whoever controls the private key controls the crypto. And that's what we'll be talking about security and about your private keys. But historically, ledgers and records have been centralized, locked up, and stored by one institution that has access and control. There's something else that Donald Trump was talking about last month, and it's been quiet. I don't know why we don't hear about this anymore. But he was saying, yeah, I think we need to go and audit the Federal Reserve. Go to Fort Knox. Where's the gold? We want to see it. Now you have to ask yourself this question. If he's the president of the United States, can he do whatever he wants to do and just fly Air Force One down there and go see it? No. Because if he did without permission, he would be barred from going in. Yes, the president himself. Because the Federal Reserve does not answer to the government. It is a private industry, and Trump knows this, which is why he hasn't just flown Air Force One down there. They got to negotiate. The power is in the bank. For cryptocurrencies, the entire ledger is out in the open and accessible to who? Not just the bankers, not just the shareholders. It is open to everybody. So we see everything that's going on. Blockchains are anonymous. When you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, you will notice that you don't see the names, email addresses, or any information about the sender and receiver. All you see are transaction hashes and wallet addresses. It is almost impossible to determine someone's identity based on these strings of random letters and numbers. This is the paradox of Bitcoin. Everybody can see all of the transactions, but nobody can see who is doing the transactions. Blockchains are decentralized. For almost every major cryptocurrency, nobody owns or controls the ledger, which is the blockchain. The blockchain is available for anyone in the world to see, no matter where they are. Let me also explain this terminology too, because you're going to hear this. The ledger is the blockchain. Therefore, the blockchain is the ledger. Distributed ledger technology, DLT, that is the blockchain. You will hear the government, whenever they want to talk about the blockchain, they will always say distributed ledger technology, DLT. They don't use the term blockchain. Only crypto people use the term blockchain. Just know when you hear those terms, it means the same thing. Just like people didn't know that Obamacare was the same as the Affordable Care Act. It's the same thing. Democrats called it the ACA, Republicans called it Obamacare. Same thing. Having a decentralized ledger plus the inherent security of a blockchain eliminates the need for an institution, bank, or government to be the middleman, which means how much money is saved in fees. Having a transparent distributed ledger, which is the blockchain, means that cryptocurrency is open to everybody on the planet. There's an entire 31% of adults all around the world that do not have access to a bank account. But if they have access to the internet, then they can access cryptocurrencies. If you don't have access to a bank account, you're basically locking yourself out from wealth creation. So the blockchain, just by being in existence, now gives everybody on the planet access. And you know who's excited about it the most? Not the people. This is what's amazing to me. It's the banks that are actually excited about this the most. BlackRock. Larry Fink can't keep himself sitting still in the chair thinking about this. Why? Because for all the world's money and wealth, 31% of the population has money and is not participating in the system. This now opens it up to adding another 31% of the world's population into the financial markets, and the banks want to gobble that up. Larry Fink already said it. I can't wait till every asset in the world is tokenized, real world assets. Do you want to know how big this is? And for those of you who say, Brandon, you keep saying Larry Fink. Who is Larry Fink? He's the chairman of BlackRock, the world's largest investment firm. They have now $13 trillion under their roof. 13 trillion. They are now also the third largest holder of Bitcoin in the world. And they did that in less than a year. They're the first to have the Bitcoin ETFs approved by the SEC. And just a few years before that, Larry Fink was saying that, no, they're not going to do nothing with Bitcoin. But do you realize how big real world assets and the tokenization event is? The market cap, and let me ask you guys this question. Type it in the chat box. What is the current market cap of cryptocurrency as a whole? You guys in the inner circle should be able to find this real quick. Type it in the chat box for me. What is the total market cap of cryptocurrencies in the world? So as big as crypto is, for the last 15 years, and that includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, all the coins combined. Leonard's the first to put it in there. $2.9 trillion. So, you want to know what Larry Fink is looking at? Because 2.9 trillion is nothing to Larry Fink. His own company has 13 trillion. He's looking at, and Judy put it in there, $687 trillion. The world's first trillionaire will be heavily invested in blockchain. Some think it could be Elon Musk. Will it be Jeff Bezos? Will it be Mark Zuckerberg? Will it be the Winklevoss twins? Michael Taylor? But it's going to come from blockchain technology. So having a transparent ledger, blockchain, means that cryptocurrency is open to everybody. So don't worry about all of those big guys are getting rich But now the little guy has an opportunity as well, because what we're going to talk about tomorrow is the second thing that I learned that changed my career. And that is that cryptocurrency represents the greatest economic shift in wealth in the history of mankind for the most amount of people. Why? Because you only need three things. One, a cell phone. Two, access to the internet. And three, a willingness to learn. There's no barrier of entry. Anybody can do this. We'll be talking more about that tomorrow. What makes a blockchain secure? Well, blockchain blocks require a majority agreement to be valid. What makes a blockchain so secure is the fact that it is distributed. There are multiple live versions of each blockchain, each one. If somebody is able to tamper with even one block on his live version of the blockchain, then everyone else will instantly see that it doesn't match up with the other live versions, and it will be discarded. That's right. As long as more than 50% of the live blockchain versions or nodes agree on something, the versions that are different are identified as false and ignored. This all happens very quickly. Blockchain blocks are essentially immutable. Every 10 minutes, a new block is created on the Bitcoin blockchain. This block is filled with data of recent Bitcoin transactions. The data in the block shows a list of wallet addresses that have sent Bitcoin to other wallet addresses, as well as the amount of Bitcoin sent. Once the block has been mined and the data is written inside, the block is closed and becomes added to the end of the blockchain. At that point, it is almost impossible to edit, modify, or remove. It is like writing in wet cement. And once the cement hardens, the information written will be there forever. The block is basically immutable. But wait a second. Just two sentences back, I said it is almost impossible. Almost. What do you mean, Brandon? What's going on there? Well, is it possible to hack the blockchain? If one individual or organization were able to gain control of 51% of the computing power of a blockchain, then they would be able to double spend their coins. That means they could spend their coins, then delete that transaction and spend the coins again. However, to mount a successful 51% attack on a large cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin would require an astronomical amount of computing power, costing billions or tens of billions of dollars. Now, there are estimated to be over 1 million Bitcoin miners in the world today. So someone would need to generate the computing power to be able to hack over 1 million other miners, to be able to just temporarily tamper with the creation of one Bitcoin block. Now, one Bitcoin block reward is 3.125 Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is what, $87,000 a coin? So we're talking about less than $300,000. So you would have to be willing to spend billions of dollars just to hack one block to get 260 something thousand dollars. There's only one person on the planet right now that I know has the resources and might be crazy enough to do it just to prove a point. And that's probably Elon Musk, just to say he did it. I mean, he spent 40, 50 billion just to buy Twitter. I seriously doubt he would do that though. But technically, it's possible. Not probable, but possible. But it would be quickly corrected and would not mess up the entire blockchain. Other use cases of blockchain technology. Because blockchain technology is by nature secure, anonymous, immutable, and decentralized, it's being eyed for other applications beyond only cryptocurrency. Using a blockchain to cast votes in an election. You know what? I'm going to have to add to this one now because one is already happening now. Using the blockchain to uncover any type of wasteful spending in the government. What about casting votes in an election? In America, and let me state a fact, the United States still has one of the most secure elections in the world. Yet, Americans are split where half the country thought that the 2020 election was stolen. Doubt our own election system. There's a solution for that. Put voting on the blockchain. If you do that, there is no Dominion machines changing votes. There is no, or allegedly, there is no dead people voting or people voting more than one time or whatever else BS you want to come up with to justify you think that the election was stolen. It is 100% secure. But I will tell you this, voting on the blockchain will be the last, the last institution to adopt blockchain technology because neither side wants it. Both sides like it as it is. One thing I learned, I was an alternate, I was a delegate, 1996 election, wait, 94, 90, no, yeah, 96. So I think that was in Chicago, Bill Clinton. But I was an alternate delegate. And one thing that I know, every jurisdiction has their own rules when it comes to doing their own local elections and national elections, and they like it that way. They like that independence. They don't want it to be one thing around the country. So politicians will be the last people to say, yeah, let's put voting on the blockchain, even though if you want to make it secure, that's what you do. What about using a blockchain to keep track of medical data? I'm going to be writing a future course on this, just on blockchain, how blockchain is going to change the healthcare industry. Revolutionary. What about using a blockchain to keep track of supply chain of food? That is also revolutionary. And then you throw AI into that. This is going to eliminate at least 40 to 60% of all service-based jobs in the world. Dock workers, truck drivers, especially if everything goes automated. Using a blockchain to store authentic pieces of digital art, NFTs. That's bigger than you think because most people think of an NFT, they think of stupid art, but you're missing the picture. When Larry Fink talks about tokenizing real world assets, that means every asset will be created as an NFT, every single one. So that is much bigger than just that digital art. Using a blockchain to store personal identification information. That is another huge deal. I shared last month the story of my mom when she went to France and lost or was stolen her passport, and she had to go down to the embassy, and she called me to fax her information, her social security card, her birth certificate to the U.S. embassy in France so that they can get her another temporary pass. And what if I couldn't find that information? What if it was lost, stolen, or burns down in the house fire? But you put all of that on the blockchain, it's there forever. Using a blockchain to store important deeds, such as for land or a home, that is also huge. It also is going to bring about the ability to have tokenized real estate, tokenized ownership, where you don't have to buy a whole house. You can own pieces of it and it be tracked. There's no fighting over the deed. You know, what some of the worst family fights always may occur after a funeral. Who's going to get the assets? Did they, and unsurprisingly, most people don't have an official will in place or trust or any of that set up with instructions. So now you've got family members fighting over stuff. And I could not believe my own eyes when my grandmother passed away a few years ago. And she was the matriarch of the family. She had 11 brothers and sisters. She was the second born. She actually helped raise her mother's children, her siblings. Some of them called my grandmother mom. Oh wow, one of them's birthday just happened. She's 85 years old. My grandmother passed away almost at 99, almost 100 years old a couple of years back. But she left. There's only three remaining siblings left of that generation. And at my grandmother's funeral, the three of them were in the back fighting with each other over old stuff from when before I was born, assets of their mother, my great grandmother, their sister. You know, who was doing what with who and how, and you stole from me, and they disrupted the freaking funeral. I got it on tape. I couldn't believe it. But if you have everything on the blockchain, there is no fight. It is what it is. That's what I say all the time. Like me and Marnita, no, we our clan, our kin come from Louisiana, and we get a phone call saying, "Hey, y'all are descendants. We found that all this land belongs to y'all, your family." Well, who actually gets it then? Because I don't know. I got 100 cousins out there. Every year, new cousins are popping up. Who has rightful rights to it? What between me and Marnita, who gets the rightful right? She says she. I say I do. I'm older. In my generation, I was the first grandchild of all of the siblings. And then after I came and I was spoiled for at least a year and a half because there was a gap between me and my older cousins. But after me, all the rest came flowing through. But they have as much as a claim as I do. But if you don't have a trust or you don't have the deeds in place and instructions, and most people don't, but the blockchain, you can do that. And that's going to be a whole nother big deal. But as a disclaimer, this information is intended for educational and training purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. As with all financial decisions, you should contact your licensed financial advisor before investing in any financial instrument. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our day one. What is the blockchain? What is the blockchain? So I hope you have a little better understanding of that. But here's the benefit of this 5-day challenge is you're not just watching a recorded video on YouTube that's 5 years old. You're also able to ask questions. So at this time, I'm going to be turning it over to Ms. Casa. And if anybody has any questions, comments, aha moments, something you'd like to share, go ahead and raise your hand and Ms. Casa will call on you. So while you're raising your hand, I will say this: tomorrow night, same time. Oh yeah, I forgot. YouTube members. Tonight and tonight only, I'm going to leave the stream open so that you guys on YouTube can see what we do in our VIP section for anyone that has questions. Now, unfortunately, those of you on my VIP side right now, you're experienced with this. So I don't know how many questions you may have. You're experienced with this, but I'm going to leave the live stream open so that you guys can at least see what's going on and why you want to be a VIP member with us. Tomorrow night, I'm not. Tomorrow night, I stop the live stream and it's just with my VIPs to ask questions, and we're going to talk about how do cryptocurrencies work. That's going to be tomorrow night. So with that, let me turn it on over to you, Miss Casa.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, so this is my favorite part of the overview, our presentation, our ILCA. When we ask the question, so there are 3 things that we do ask of you. The first one is please do not unmute your mic until you are called upon. The second one is we do ask for 2 questions unless we have time for more. And the third one is the most important. There are no silly questions. So whatever is on your mind, please just raise your hand and I will call on you. That's good, Miss Maggie. I see that. Okay, anyone?
Maggie was there last month too, right?
Yes, she was.
See,
Yes,
this is the thing about this is when you hear it over and over and over again, you're going to get something new and things are going to start to click that it didn't the first time around. Can the YouTube folks type questions? Oh, okay. Tonight I'll allow it. If you're on YouTube and you've got a question, go ahead and type it. I see, I'm looking at it right now. I don't see anybody with any questions there. But yeah, if you're on YouTube and you have a question, go ahead and type it. While they're doing that, Miss Casa, do you want to go ahead and share one more time what we got going on in Vegas on May 24th?
Okay, so super, super exciting times. A lot of you guys know that the Bitcoin 2025 conference is going on in Vegas. So ILCA thought, you know what, we need to be there too. So we will be there from May 27th until May 30th. And we have some really fun things lined up for you guys. For Tuesday night, we will be having a dinner where everybody can come and hang out and see each other. Wednesday from like 9 to noon, we will be having ILCA classes in session where we get a chance to hear from Mr. Brandon Ivey live, which is phenomenal all the time. We're going to have our meet and greet so we can give out hugs and share laughter with each other. And then those of you who go through the certification process, you guys are going to be able to receive certificates and shake hands and all that good stuff. So I'm super excited about that. Then on Thursday, I'm thinking maybe Thursday afternoon because it is Las Vegas and I don't want to try to have us out there walking in 150-degree weather. So hopefully later on in the afternoon, it'll be cool enough for us to go on a walk. I just thought that would be a wonderful idea. We can have some ILCA swag. A lot of us are in MoveQuest, so we can show off our wristwatches, and then we can give each other hugs goodbye and get ready for the next event. So those of you who are able to join us, it would be really, really great. And if you're not, don't worry about it. We're actually planning 2 more events as we speak. So back to you, Mr. Ivey.
All right. Well, we have a question. That's a good question about what is the best crypto wallet to have? Now, on Thursday, we're going to be doing a lesson about wallets and wallet security. So I'm going to be going into detail about different wallets and what they all mean. But this is subjective. It's a personal preference. So there's no such thing as the best wallet. It's what is the best wallet for what it is that you want to do. Are you trying to hold your tokens long term? Are you trying to just have a short term? Are you trying to dollar cost average? Are you trying to take advantage of a whole bunch of opportunities and you need a wallet for money to be deposited into or crypto? So there's many different ones, but you can write these down. I'm going to give you guys wallets that everyone should have that I vouch for because I've used them. First, Coinbase. And I don't even like Coinbase long term. But Coinbase, 1, 2, Exodus wallet, 3, crypto.com, 4, uphold.com, 5, Trust Wallet. Yeah, it's 5, Trust Wallet, 6, MetaMask Wallet, and the last, which I don't really use that much, is Clever Wallet. So those 7 are wallets that I vouch for. Now, if you're in different parts of the world, there are different wallets just for your region. Are you trying to connect to your bank account? Now, notice one thing though. There's only 2 of those that I talked about that are centralized, which is Coinbase and Uphold. What you did not hear me talk about is exchanges. Binance, Kraken, L-Bank, or all the others. But we'll talk more about that on Thursday night about the different wallets and what they do, and most importantly, security. Security. I cannot express how important this is. I mean, I'm almost paranoid right now about security. There's so many scams out there, professionals whose only job is to separate you from your crypto. And if you don't know how to protect your own assets, because since it's decentralized, it's not the bank holding your money, it is you. You holding your own money. You want to protect that. But most people don't want to learn or take, we have one woman in one opportunity that we're involved in, lost $17,000 on getting scammed. And had she attended just 1 hour that month, I did a 5-day challenge. Had she attended just 1 hour for free, because I cover it in the 5-day challenge, she would have learned information that would have protected herself. So I can't stress the importance of security, which is why 3 days this week, I'm going to be covering 3 different topics on security, starting on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Next Monday's recap call, we'll do how to make money with Bitcoin in crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin. That'll be next Monday on the recap call. But tomorrow night, how to trade Bitcoin and crypto. And then the next 3 days is going to be just about security. And unfortunately, even though I'm saying this right now, there's still going to be somebody that we know that's going to get all their crypto stolen one way or another. It's going to happen. We just learned in Crypto Talk, Kenny's sister, what was it, $47,000 on scam we didn't even know existed. But there are red flags. So if you know the red flags, you know what to watch for, even if it's something that we've never experienced before, to protect yourself. So that's what we're going to be doing all week. I would strongly encourage you, if you thought that this information was valuable, you want to invite as many people as you can to be a part of this and learn, because there's going to be another benefit as well. If you are a member of our community, you actually can earn money sharing ILCA with others. And now you're earning while you're learning. This past Saturday, I did an ILCA presentation and I showed the numbers. How much, Maggie, was it that I showed you can make? No, you guys remember I did dream mode? Who wants to make 5,000 a month, 25,000 a month, 100,000? I think Maggie says something like 5 million a day just by sharing crypto education to the masses. So with that, that is it for tonight. Thank you guys for taking time out of your schedule for being here. We will be back tomorrow night, same time, same link. Those of you on YouTube, if you want to join us in the VIP section, the inner circle, then you can if you go to HTTPS. Let's see. Oh, I hear myself there. ILCA crypto news, cryptonews.com. Go there and register if you want to be a VIP member and be on inside with all of us. ILCAcryptonews.com. So with that, thank you, Ms. Casa, for taking time away from your family and during dinner hour and everything to host for everybody, and you guys taking time out to learn. I hope you learned something new. As always, that's the point. I still learn something new every time I do this, and I've been doing this for years. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I'll see you guys in the inner circle tomorrow morning for Crypto Talk. We still have one article to cover that we didn't get to today. Oh, Jamal's got his hand up. Go. Or are you just saying bye, Jamal? All right. He just waving bye. All right. Good night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.